So I've really been in business for 5 years. All right, let's do this. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tatiana. I am the owner of the Stationery Muse, and I am so excited that you are here for this video. I just wanted to film a quick little sit down, nothing formal, just want to kind of talk what's on my heart and share just some of the different things that have happened over the last 5 years of me running this business, along with just giving you guys some advice and tips of things that I've been learning along the way. I do that all the time here on this channel, but I really wanted to take a moment to just kind of reflect on my journey. And just first that I got to say that I got to thank God, because my faith, my level of faith really has risen so much, especially just through running this business. I mean, seriously, it's such a ministry for me to connect with women. And so I'm constantly seeking God in all things when it comes to, like, what should I be doing for the Stationery Muse? Where is Stationery Muse gonna go? All of those things. But I'm so proud of myself for making it to this point, making it to this moment to be able to film this video for you guys. And I really hope that above all, you take what you need from this video to get encouraged if you are just in need of a little something to just kind of give you a pick-me-up, because believe me, I know entrepreneurship is not for the weak-hearted, y'all. It's not. It is for those that really believe in themselves. It's for those that know that they are gonna have some setbacks. Unfortunately, they're gonna have some moments where they're gonna have to kind of be like, ooh, look at yourself in the mirror, really face certain things. But the important part is that I'm still standing, and I'm excited to just kind of reflect and talk. I don't have any notes for this, but let's just see where this goes. Just so excited. So first of all, if you are new here, if this is your first video you happen to be clicking on, I am a business coach and a mentor for women that want to start their very own stationery businesses. But before that, I mean like 4 years before that, I was the owner, still am. I'm the owner of a stationery business called the Stationery Muse. It is a paper goods and lifestyle brand that has products that are really designed to help women go for all the things they want in life, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. I'm so passionate about that, and I'm always preaching to you guys about how important it is if you have a business on your heart, or if there's something that you've really been wanting to do, to go for that. And so my journey is very similar to the things that I tell so many of you, is that I was scared, right? I was scared. It took me a year to get started with the Stationery Muse, and I don't really have any notes for this video, but I just wanted to really share from my heart how I feel overall with just this entrepreneurship journey. And if you are in the boat of trying to decide, like, should I go for this? If you're in the boat of maybe you started, but maybe you had a setback of some sort, or whatever the case is, this is going to be for you. I just really want to share a little bit of my story, a piece of my journey, to really help you all to get through whatever that just hump you may be feeling, or even if you just need a little extra encouragement to know that you got this. I got you. I mentioned that it took me a year to get started with the Stationery Muse, and the reason for that was just a lot of me within myself feeling like, and if you can hear like my whole story of how all of those things unfolded, but it was really just me feeling like, okay, you failed at a lot of other things within your life. Why do you feel like all of a sudden this business is going to be so successful, something that you're really not that familiar with? It was one of those things where it's like, why do you think all of a sudden that this is going to work, but all of the other things you had on your list just didn't? And so for that year, I really talked myself out of doing it. It didn't really make any sense. My mom had actually been into crafting, making cards, and all of those things when I was younger. And so I saw her do it, and I loved it. She even had a handmade card business for a while. And I don't even know if she ended up actually selling the cards. I know she did make cards for people. I'll have to ask her, because I was kind of young when she was doing that, but she did that. And it's just really cool how I saw that really early on, and I knew that that was something that I wanted to do as I got older, even though it took me a long time to kind of realize that that was what I wanted to do, because I always thought my path was music. And so the Stationery Muse actually started, I opened my Etsy shop in 2016, May 19th to be exact. I had to go look on there because I couldn't remember the exact date. I always know May 2016, but I knew that this was the 5th year, and I wanted to make sure I knew the exact date. And so it's just so cool to think about when I first opened that shop up. I remember I had a couple of digital downloads in there for people. It was like I want to say it was like a graduation download card and I think it was 2 graduation cards, and you could download them. I have to go and see if I can find the original pictures of them, but you could do it as like a printable download. And then shortly after that, I ended up adding A5 inserts to my shop, and that was kind of where it took off from there, and it got started from there. But it was a very slow and steady process. It was a lot of me just trying to put myself out there through Instagram, and even like looking back at some of the stuff that I posted when I first opened my business. I'm just like, like what were you really expecting? And I think that's one of the biggest lessons. If I had to kind of break this into lessons, maybe let's do that to give this some structure. So we'll do 3 lessons because I love to think in 3s. So the first really would have to be that you cannot expect overnight success. You can, however, expect that you'll put in your all, and eventually you will see a return on your time, your return on your money, the investments you make. You will see all of that back. However, it will not be overnight, And actually, someone had commented on one of my videos recently, and they said it's something so good. They were saying basically that, it was a good reminder for them, the video they were watching, that and not everyone is overnight success. But then the part that I love what she said was, but even if you are overnight success, it may not last for that long. And I think that's the thing, because sometimes, like, if you do blow up really quickly and, things kind of take off before you're truly ready to fly, it can backfire. So I really liked the way that she put that. And of course, everybody's journeys are different. There are some people that literally blow up overnight, but sometimes it's like, is your heart ready? Is your mind ready for that capacity? And so for me, I can honestly tell y'all this journey has been very slow and steady. It's been one of those just kind of, put in the work, give it my all, let's see what happens. Like, it's been a lot of that back and forth. And in the next 5 years for this business, I really am praying and hoping that all of the hard work that I've put in and just this beautiful community that I have built here is going to propel me to the next level of what I see for this business. And so it's just so important to really know that this is 5 years later, you guys, and I feel like I'm just now getting to a point of where I'm getting my feet wet. I'm starting to really understand and navigate and really get my business. Like, it took me a while to realize that I really wanted to cater to female entrepreneurs. That was not something that I knew from the beginning. And I think with any business that you start, you can always set out to answer those questions of the who, the what, the why. But just know that as you grow as a woman, as your business starts to mature, and just as the world changes around you, those things can shift, and you really start to get more clarity as you put yourself out there. So clarity really comes when you are uncomfortable. It really comes from the uncomfortable moments when you are just putting yourself out there. Maybe something's not 100% perfect, right? But you're deciding to do it anyway. And as you do it, and you may fall on your face sometimes, you may have really amazing wins, but you always will take something away from that and be better. And so that is the biggest blessing for me that I can definitely say with my business. I've had a lot of successes and I've had a lot of failures, and I think that is the biggest thing. And so just to even touch on a couple of those failures, because I think it's important for people to know that not everything is rainbows and butterflies. And I've talked about some of these sporadically in different videos, but just to quickly touch on them. So I would say, first of all, now, especially looking back at it, everything that I've been through, things that I've done, choices I've made, I don't regret any of this stuff, because it's only made me, first of all, be stronger just as a woman in general, right? But it's also helped me to help the women that I'm working with, to help them avoid the mistakes and things that I've made. And so that, a lot of my failures, I would say, really had to do with me setting myself up for me believing that something was going to take off overnight. And that was just straight up. And so the last 2 years, I really had to change my mindset and be like, okay, now I tried to release a planner back in 2018, and I sold, I believe, 5 planners. One of them was my mom, y'all, okay? On top of that, it was the binders that I got, they were coming from overseas from this company that I had found on Alibaba. The binders were really, really cute. But for some reason, the package was lost in the mail. I had at that point, I had been ordering from Alibaba for a couple of years now. So I was like, I can't even believe this would happen the one time I really needed to. And the thing was, it was like I had filmed a little promo video. I think it's even here on this channel somewhere. I filmed a promo video about it. I think I talked about it a handful of times on, like social media. And then I was kind of like, okay, it's here. No one really knew about it. I hadn't told anybody I was working on it or anything like that. And so when I knew that I was going to come out with a planner in 2020, I knew that I had to approach the situation 100% different. I put it out there in the atmosphere early on, and I told people about it. I brought people along, and that to me would be my second lesson, is just that you have to not be afraid to share what you're working on when you might feel like it's premature, or you may feel like, oh my gosh, it's not really quite ready for people to know about this idea yet. Just sharing that, speaking that into existence, it already kind of births it, and it helps you to just really keep going. So if you do run into issues where you're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm just gonna give up on this, you've already kind of given yourself this invisible accountability, as I like to call it, because you've already announced it or shared it or talked about it in some aspect. And so that was really what made the difference for me when I decided to release my Live, Love, Inspire business planner, was that I was very just open about the process and that it meant so much to me. And I shared that with everyone. And that is, I think, what made so many people want to get that planner. So for me, going from 5 planners, I did with that first launch, I ended up selling over 100 planners. And so the thing that you have to really keep in mind when you're really trying to figure out, like, okay, what route do I really want to take? How do I want this to work out for me? The biggest question to ask yourself, first of all, is, why are you doing it? Who is this going to benefit? And how can I get them excited about it now? And that is just such a huge, valuable thing that I have taken away from that lesson of the failed planner launch that I had. In addition to just the belief within myself. And so there were other launches like that similarly that happened. When I first released my Live, Love, Inspire notebook, at the time I was doing that notebook handmade. I've since changed the process now, but it was just another one of those situations where, I had kind of shared about it a little bit. I think I might have did like a flip through or something. And then I was kind of like, okay, it's available. And it was the same thing. I felt like it flopped. I want to say I sold maybe like 12 or something within like the first of what I called like my launch period. I think you can set different periods. Like if you're like, okay, within the first week, I want to sell XYZ. And that's another thing. Always have a goal for yourself to reach. Don't just be like, okay, I'm getting ready to launch this planner. I'm getting ready to launch this collection. And we'll just see what happens. Like, have a goal, look at the costs, look at your income goals, things you're trying to do, and write down a goal, because y'all, I promise you that is something that helps more than you know. Especially, I can 100% attest to this with my coaching business. I want X number of people to sign up for this. And I write that down. I've hit those goals. I've achieved them. But even if I don't hit that goal, I don't give up. It doesn't mean that I just have failed. It just means that, okay, I need to look at this maybe in a different perspective. I need to reapproach it. I need to relaunch it. And I'm going to try again. That goes for everything. And so the Live, Love, Inspire notebook is still here. And I relaunched that thing probably 3 or 4 times. The last time I relaunched it at the end, it was like fall of 2020. I don't even remember how many was sold. I want to say at this point, I know for sure there's been probably close to probably 100 sold. There's been many, many, many sold, but it's definitely more than what I originally expected, And so you have to really dig deep into yourself and not be scared of the numbers and the things that might kind of freak you out a little bit. Like, oh my God, that'd be crazy if I sold that many. It would be crazy, but if that's God's will for you, then you will figure it out. It will all work out. And so never shortchange yourself for you know, what it is that you want. Now, another failure, I guess I would say, would probably be with my Live, Love, Inspire subscription box. And notice everything is Live, Love, Inspire something. That's just kind of my jam. That's how I do it. But the Live, Love, Inspire box was a box that I did from 2017 until spring of last year. So spring of 2020. So about 3 years. And I stopped the box because, one, I just was feeling very burnt out. I had been doing it for 3 years. For the first 2 years, I was doing it every single month. And that became a lot, especially once I became a mom and all of that. And so then I ended up switching it to bi-monthly. And I did that for like another year or so. And then I just kind of like paused it. And I kept saying, oh, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. And then it just didn't. I think because my business has shifted so much from what it was in 2017 when I started it, to now. And so 2 parts of that kind of felt like a failure to me. The first part was just that when I launched it, it was like literally 3 people, my mom, my grandmother, and 1 other person actually subscribed. So I was really grateful for that 1 other person. And it was funny because she ended up sticking with me the entire time I had the box until the end. She even sent me an email after, I think it had been a couple months and the box wasn't coming. And I still was like battling with myself, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And she was like, is it coming back? Like, what's going on? And so I'm really grateful for her. But yeah, so I think for me, again, it's like you can't expect, y'all, this is like me waking up one day. I had lost my job maybe like a week or 2 prior to the thought of me wanting to do this box. People have been doing subscription boxes. It wasn't anything new. I had ordered some in the past before for myself. And I finally was just like, I think I kind of want to try this. It'll be really cool. I have extra time. We were getting ready to move here to New Mexico. So it was just like, let's see how this goes. And I just put it out there again, you know, like I really didn't show anything, you know, to get people prepared and excited. I kind of just was like, I got a subscription box. So you can't really expect all these people to be hopping on, you know, what you have going on until you build them up, you educate them, you give them a reason to care. And so I know I've kind of talked about that a little bit more, but that's what all of my failures with this business have really been tied to. It's just like a launch not going as well. Just simply because I was so excited to put something out there, and then when there's crickets, right? So the box since grew. I sold out quite a few months where I had hit my cap. I always had a cap of how many I could sell, which is another great tip for you. Never go into anything without having a limit on how much you're going to sell, because especially as just one person, if you know what your life is, how it's set up, you know your kids, how they're set up, how your anxiety might be set up, whatever the case is, always have a cap, always have a ballpark of, you know, like how much you're going to do to where you might cut it off, because you never want to overwhelm yourself, and you never want to really, it leads to, you know, dissatisfied customers, because now you're taking a lot longer than maybe your timeline that you said, or whatever the case is. So always have a cap. Always be upfront and honest about your delivery times, what you're going to be able to do and when. And always know that if somebody really wants something, they will come back. The same I can say even with the Live, Love, Inspire business planner. I had to take a break from that and kind of get that first group done, and then I released the next group. And what's really cool about doing that is it allowed for me to have the time to perfect it, get it better. There were some mistakes along the way in that process that I talked about, and I'll make sure I link the video in the cards all about that. But the biggest thing is that I did it, right? And it was one of the most successful launches of my business to date. Sometimes the things that you are the most frightened of, like that planner, for example, for me, especially after that first failure, the things that you're the most frightened of are typically going to be that thing that really takes you to the point of like the success you're looking for, the return on investment, and all of those things. Like that whole time was just beautiful and amazing. And I'm just really excited for the next round of the planners that will be coming in the fall for 2021. So yes, those will be coming back in case you are curious. I'm actually going to probably sit down early June to start working on the designs for that. The other part of what I wanted to say about the Live, Love, Inspire box, to circle back, and I'm gonna probably wrap up here soon. The other part I wanna say is that when I decided that I no longer wanted to make it a monthly box, but I wanted to switch it to bi-monthly, that was tough, you guys, because I felt like a failure in that moment. It had been, I had my daughter in August of 2018, and I want to say it was around May of 2019 when I finally made the decision that I was going to go bi-monthly. And I think I had kind of almost made it myself feel like, at that point I had been like making videos on YouTube, showing the unboxings every month, showing the behind the scenes, and I felt like if I let this box go, or at the time I was like, I'm just gonna do it bi-monthly. But then I ended up letting it go the following year. And so through that whole year, even when it switched to bi-monthly, I was still overwhelmed. It still just wasn't fulfilling me like I thought it would, like it was in the beginning. And it was just taking a lot from me. It was taking me away from my family. It was just taking me away from the other things I really wanted to be focusing on for the Stationery Muse. And so I started to feel like I was the box, like all that I was this. And if I took it away, then no one would care. And so I battled with that for a whole year of it being bi-monthly. And finally I was just like, this is not making you happy. And I think that's the final lesson that I want to share, is that your business, while you want it to be something that you're passionate about, like I always say, you want it to be something that you love, because whether the money's there or not, that whole spiel. But if there comes a time where you're doing something in your business where you are no longer fulfilled, it doesn't make you happy, and this really just kind of goes for anything in life, really evaluate that. See what factors of it don't make you happy. Maybe it's not necessarily that you need to let it go. Maybe it's that you need to delegate it to someone else. Maybe you need to take a step back from it for a little while. Maybe you just need to kind of refresh the way you're doing it. Really think about that. If it's pulling on you, you will know if it's something that it doesn't bring you that much happiness. You will know that. And I remember I would just dread when it would be like, oh my gosh, okay, I got one box out and I got to figure out what the next theme is. And even though I loved the Live, Love, Inspire box and how much it meant to those that got it, because a lot of women would message me and say like, oh my gosh, I really needed this in this season. And it was hard to let that go because I felt like I was letting people down. I felt I was letting myself down. I wasn't living up to what I thought. And again, I thought that was all my business was going to be. And so never put yourself in a box. Never feel like you are just this one thing, or you have to just focus on this one thing. If you notice you've been doing something for 2 years and all of a sudden it's just not bringing you joy anymore, well, what does bring you joy? What are some things that you can do to bring that spark back, to bring that excitement back? And so that's kind of where I want to leave it, I guess. All in all, the last 5 years has been my true just journey of finding who I am as a woman. 2016 Tatiana versus 2021 Tatiana, if they were side by side, they're just completely different. When I look at 2016 Tatiana that started the business, I look at a woman that was just getting ready to get married. She was also at the same time watching her parents get a divorce. She was very insecure, very negative, unhappy at her job that she currently was at, and doubtful of this thing that God kept telling her about. And it was also at that time when I was really dipping in and out of my faith as well. It was like really my introduction to going to church regularly was like really around that time in my life, like 2014, 2015. That was really when I started hearing from God, if that makes any sense. And so I say all of that to say that you as a woman, you change as well. It's not so much just about the business and the products. You as a human being, you become better. And I am so grateful for the women that have supported my business, whether it was from day one, whether it was from today, whether it's from tomorrow after this video goes up, whatever the case is, I just have to say thank you. Thank you so much for checking out these videos, for supporting, purchasing, for commenting on things, liking, tuning into my lives, like all of those things. I just thank you because you are helping me to live out the passion that I have, which is to inspire women. At the end of the day, I'm here to inspire women. I'm here to inspire you to go for that business that you want to start, to stop counting yourself out, to truly believe that you have whatever it is that you want to do with inside of you. But if you don't believe that, nothing that I say will matter, because you have to believe that. And you too can make it to your 5-year business anniversary. It's just a matter of removing all of that negativity, removing all of that doubt, and finally being like, okay, I got this. And don't get me wrong, there have been times over the last 5 years where this business almost didn't make it to 5 years, okay? I've taken breaks. Like I just said, I just took a couple months away from the Stationery Muse. So it's not something that I would say is 100% perfect. There's a lot of things that I could do better as a business owner, as a woman, but I never give up. You know, I constantly show up, and that is, at the end of the day, that is all that matters. That's how you get to the 5-year mark, the 10-year mark, the 20-year mark, and beyond, is showing up. And so on that note, I'm gonna leave it at that. I have no idea what I talked about for the last 26 minutes. So I will go back and edit this and see. But let me know if you are even still watching this down below. What was your biggest takeaway from this video? I really am just all about sharing and just being transparent with y'all about how it is to be an entrepreneur. And so make sure you do subscribe to this channel so that you can see more videos like this one. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.